This is a tutorial on how to make a phylogenetic tree. Our example here is a sweet potato aviary. To begin our idle project, we're going to go to Google and type in idle phylogenetic tree. We're then going to hit that first link at the top. Then we're going to log in on the right hand side, and I already have all my login credentials, so I'm going to put that in and hit login. Next, you see that My Trees appear, so we're going to click on that, and this is where it takes you to the workspace. We're going to add a new workspace, and so you're going to hit that plus button and type in whatever name you see fit. I'm going to call mine Phylogenetic Tree Tutorial. As you can see, once you create the workspace, you automatically opened into it. So next we're going to upload our tree. So we're going to hit Tree Upload and then select Files. As you can see, this tree has two files, one ending in phy and then the other ending in initial tree. We will be using this initial tree file. This tree has been uploaded and it shows important things such as number of leaves, data sets, and when it was uploaded. So to open, we're going to click that name and it's going to open us up to the tree. And so this is the original version of what our final product will be. When you open up the tree, you can see that there are some tools on the left-hand side, such as zoom out, zoom in, fit to screen, and search for tree nodes. We want to organize this tree by their domain, starting with TNOs, RNOs, and then CNOs. So in order to do that, we will use the search tree nodes, in which we will look up references that we know belong to each of these domains. I used ADR1 to locate the RNO domain. As you can see by the red circle, it's in the bottom left. I then used L6 to locate the TNO domain, and it's also in the same location. Once we've located our domains, we can try to reroute the tree. And so I'm going to try for that node right there. So I'm going to click on that node, and it's going to give me this drop-down menu in which I'll click the tree structure and reroute tree here. I'm then going to check to see if my domains are in the correct location using the tree node search. And so I'll look for ADR1 again. It's moved up to the top left, and then I'll search for L6. And so, as you can see, they seem to be flipped in which they're not in the right position. So we're going to reset the tree and try to reroute again. This time I'm going to go for a different location, such as this node right here. I'm going to click on it again, hit tree structure, and reroute the tree here. I will then test to see if my domains are in the correct location. As you can see, the ADR1 is where I want it, and the L6 is in the correct position too. And so I'm happy with how we've routed it. One tip is to note down the leaf number where you rerouted your tree in case you have to do it again. In order to differentiate between the three domains, I'm going to give each a color. To do that, I'm going to hit the bottom clade of each domain. As you can see, there are many editing tools, and so in order to change the color, I'm going to hover over branches, then whole clade, and then click color. From there, I'm going to put the number of the color that I want. You can find this on the internet. And so for TNOs, I'm going to choose a nice red. Next, I'm going to move on to RNOs. And so I'm going to click that node, go down to branches, whole clade, and click color. I will then choose a color, and in this case, I chose a nice green. Our final domain to change are the CNOs. And so I'm going to repeat this process, type in my color, And for this one, I chose blue. You want to be able to choose 3 colors that are different enough from each other so you can tell them apart. Something important to do while you work is to save it. This is so you don't lose any of your progress in case you exit out or in case your internet goes bad. To do so, you can hit Save All when either prompts you like it did before, or you can go down to Tree Views, click that, and then Save Default Tree. Next, we're going to add a color strip so that it's easier to see where the reference NLRs are. I've found that the easiest way to make a color strip is on spreadsheets. To do that, you can go to Idle Help, click Tree Annotation, and from there you can see how to add Idle Annotator Editor for spreadsheets. By clicking on this link, it will take you to this Idle Annotation Editor in which you hit Download, and then you can add the Sheets add-on. And this will be an extension for your Google spreadsheet. Now in Google Drive, I will create a new Google Sheets. I will then click on Extensions, and then you'll see that Idle Annotation pops up. So I'm going to go to Idle Annotation Editor and click Idle API Key. This is so that you can sync with your Idle account. So you go to the settings, and there you see the API key. So I'm going to copy that and then paste it and hit OK. So now everything is synced. Next, I'm going to name this spreadsheet. You can label it however you want, but I'm going to call mine Phylogenetic Tree Tutorial. Next, I'm going to go find the tree that we're working on. So I'm going to go back to Idle Annotation Editor and hit Select Tree. Next, I'm going to choose our workspace. So that would be Phylogenetic Tree Tutorial. It is Project 1, and then you see there's only one tree there. Once I've clicked on Load Selected Tree, I can then hit Create or Edit Annotation. This will then show me in a drop-down menu the different datasets that I can create, but we are going to make a color strip. Once I hit Create a Blank Dataset, you'll see that it'll take some time, and then all the NLRs and reference NLRs appear. I'm then going to create a filter for the NLRs so I can find things easier. Once I do that, I'm going to click on Tree Node ID and then clear all. That way I can go select one by one all the reference NLRs. Once I've selected them, I'm going to highlight them and make sure that I have all the reference NLRs. In this case, we have 35. Next, I'm going to add the number ID of the color that I've chosen for the reference NLRs. Then I'm going to label them reference. From there, I'm going to copy and paste for all the references. Next, I can add the color to the other NLRs. So to do that, I'm going to hit Select All, and then go to Label, and deselect the reference. Now, everything but the references are showing. And so I'm going to add the color ID, and label it AV for Avery. Now I can copy and paste for the rest of the NLRs. To do so, you can copy, select some of the cells, and if you're on a Mac, you can hold together Shift, Command, downward arrow to select to the bottom of the spreadsheet. Then you can paste, and you'll have all of your reference and other NLRs labeled with their color. Now that we've completed the spreadsheet, we can go ahead and give it a label. So I'm going to leave this cultivar versus reference. Then you hit Save to Idle. As you can see, it worked and all the colors were inputted correctly. If it doesn't work, the spreadsheet will tell you which cells have an error. Now that that's complete, we can go back to idle, go back to my trees, and go to the correct workspace. We can see that our dataset was included. Now when we open the tree, we have to turn on the dataset, and there you can see our color strip. This is an example from a larger tree in which there are 3 datasets. One is the color strip, which we just looked at, and there's also branch symbols and binary data. As you can see, something different about the branch symbols as opposed to the color strip is you can use different symbols to identify each of the NLRs. Also, the symbols are located on the branch itself. The third dataset is binary data, which is a combination of a color strip and branch symbols. As you can see, each NLR can be identified by their different shape and colors, just like the branch symbols, but like the color strip, it's shown in a ring around the tree. Once you've synced your IDLE account with the IDLE extension on Spreadsheet as shown before in the color strip tutorial, you can choose your tree, and this is what the branch symbol spreadsheet looks like. I've already gone ahead and noted down all the NLR types and filtered them out by shape and color according to my key to the right of the spreadsheet. For the reference NLRs, I've chosen the color of purple and the shape of a box. For the rest of the NLR types, I changed their color and their shape, but as you can see, I kept their size and position the same at 1. This is the standard view for the branch symbols, but you can play around with it and see how it might change the look of your tree. Here's an overview of the spreadsheet and how it looks with only the NLRs of interest noted down. This binary dataset follows the same key as the branch symbols, and I've also already noted down the NLR types and filtered them out for their color and shape. Since this is binary data, we use 1 and -1 to indicate whether or not we want something to show. For example, with the BNL and BCNL data, you can see that their column has all 1s while the rest of them have -1s. You can also see this for the NLR IDs and the reference NLRs. Next, I will show you how to change the appearance of your idle tree. You may not follow this completely as you might have a different end goal, but I will show you the settings that I've chosen for this one. So under basic settings, you can change the rotation and arc as I have done. I've also decided to hide the labels. Another thing that you can do is the branch options, in which I've increased the line style, chose to show my color gradient, and decreased the dashed lines. Then in advanced settings, this is where you can add bootstraps. You may or may not have this feature for your tree depending on what your initial tree file included. In this case, we do have the option to add bootstraps. So we are going to do so, and from there we can change the symbol, the fill color, and the size. Next, I'm going to choose to display the tree scale and change the color and lines. As I said before, you may choose different colors or show different lines compared to mine depending on what you want your final product to look like. The next thing that we can change is the dataset in settings, and this only is there if you have the dataset already included. One important feature is the left margin, which changes the diameter of the color strip. As you can see, when I put -40 in, the color strip becomes more narrow, but it overlaps with some branches. So I can put a positive number in, and it will make the diameter bigger. However, in this case, I'm going to leave the left margin as it is. One thing that I would change is the width of the strip and including a complete border. Once you're finished with any changes, you want to hit Save Dataset Parameters. In order to get to this appearance of the tree quicker in case I change anything, I'm going to create a named view. So you click on Tree Views, Saved as Named View, and then type in a name that you want. In this case, I chose AV Color Strip. Then, as you can see, when I click on Tree Views, you can see that I've saved one named view. One feature of idle is that you can change the mode of the tree. So you can have circular, rectangular, or unrooted. To move the tree into place, I'm going to use my mouse and drag it toward the center. Just be careful with this feature as it is very sensitive, and sometimes with larger data sets, it lags a lot. As you can see on the right hand side, our tree does not have a color strip as this style of the tree does not support the data set. I'm saving this named view of the tree as it's important to our project, but it's optional for yours depending on what you need. Finally, the tree is done and I'm going to show you how to export it. But I'm first going to change the named view so that we export the tree with the color strip. Next, I want to make sure the tree is centered so you can see all of it when it exports. Then from the Format drop-down window, I can choose which kind of format I want. In this case, I want a PDF. Then I'm going to give it a file name and hit Export. Sometimes it takes a bit to download if your tree is a big file. You know the download is complete when you see File exported successfully. Then you can go to Downloads, and there you have the finalized version of your phylogenetic tree.